Welcome to the Dragon's Tome. My name's Jack. That's Rob. That's Chopper. Well, we're here to entertain you, fellas. What's new?
Nothing.
We may or may not be in Lake Geneva currently.
Excellent.
Oh, what's going on? That's just old hat. We do that every time.
Every time we go to Lake Geneva,
We record this at our longtime friend, longtime listener, Ed Greenwood's house.
I don't think he lives in Lake Geneva.
No, he lives in Canada, I think.
Yeah. Just everybody lives in Lake
No.
Geneva.
and I told you to stop telling people that I go in there every once in a while.
It's
You
not
should
strip
lock
joint.
the door. Okay, we are looking at Dragon Magazine, March 1988. I don't remember getting any royalty checks for my likeness being used, but here we are. We have ourselves a I don't know, a dwarf.
Another dwarf.
Another
We
dwarf.
just did another dwarf. We just did a dwarf cover.
There's a lot of dwarves on the covers, I think.
Yeah. I will say that this dwarf is coming out of what it seems to be like a void, not a dark tunnel. It's just a void. Like he's back.
Well, the cover's by Rodane Esme and David Kern. Two people did it. And they said this is what Geraldo Rivera wished he had found in Al Capone's vault.
Oh, are you guys old enough to remember that?
Yeah,
Yes, I
remember.
watched it.
Yep.
Oh,
They
that
found
was
absolutely
such a-
nothing.
That was such a huge thing, especially
Mhm.
here in Chicago. It was.
I'm sure, yeah.
Oh my God!
And all
I
for
totally
nothing.
Forgot about the Al Capone thing.
And thankfully, that was the most embarrassing thing to ever happen to Geraldo Rivera.
No, he took that chair in the face when the white supremacist fight.
I think it was before
Yeah.
that, wasn't it?
He also claimed all kinds of stuff while he was a correspondent. He's a real piece. Hey, Geraldo, kick rocks.
So, while I love this cover and he's coming out of this really dark void, I feel like he also might have just got up from a nap while he was in the void.
He looks a little tired.
He looks sleepy, like he got the one eye open. He's like, "Oh God,
I do like his
That's-
Uggs.
another." His Uggs.
He's a fashion trendsetter.
You know what? If you really look closely, it looks like he's wearing Uggs and these weird silver leggings.
Yep,
He's fashion forward by 40 years.
The new scale Lululemon
Mhm.
collection.
I mean, look how tight those things are.
Yeah, no. He looks like he's going into a delicious dungeon with
This
that
lantern
skirt.
looks suspiciously like a giant Stanley cup.
Yeah.
Careful. Careful.
Not that kind of Stanley Cup. The ones that all the house frauds want.
Oh.
When you say Stanley
I
Cup
get-
to Canadians, it means something totally different.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Not the one that the Blackhawks have.
Yeah. So, anywho, we have ourselves a dwarf finding a skeleton during his adventures, and we are going to get into the magazine. The theme seems to be the underground. Who wants to start?
I would rather not start since I don't have very many.
Oh.
I'm feeling Pat has a lot since there's two ecologies in this thing.
Yeah,
I stole one from Pat because
that's fine, and that's fine because I had a hard time with this magazine.
You have a
too.
lot of stuff.
it's a Pat-heavy episode.
It's really not though, because I had a hard time with this magazine.
What? There's like mutations. This was like I was reading this. I was like, this is all Pat.
I'm surprised you didn't do the legends and lore.
Maybe I did. You don't know the
Maybe
one I
he
did.
did. We're
So
going
I
to
get-
find out right
Am
now.
I starting then?
Yeah,
Pat,
Pat start.
go first.
All right, let's go to page 34.
That'd be funny if you stole my one article. Folk of the Underdark.
Underworld. And this is the one race of the Underdark I could never really pronounce.
Fnivnirblum.
Svernubblin.
Smurf Niblin.
Smurf Niblin. No, it's Smurf Nibbling. That's official.
We're just going to call them deep gnomes,
Yeah.
because that's
No.
what they are. basically what this is just an article of the deep gnomes. They're focusing in the last couple episodes, couple magazines of the races of the Underdark. I wonder if that's because the box set is might be coming out.
I don't know.
The Underdark. Who knows? I just noticed that it's a lot of Underworld, Underdark. They don't really call it Underdark. I think they're using Underdark in this article as a broad term, as
Not
opposed to the Forgotten
the
Realms Underdark.
official, the official
Yeah,
term. Yeah, it probably isn't even official yet. So
yeah. So one of the curious things about the gnomes and the deep gnomes is that, unlike all the other Underdark races, the gnomes are the most like their surface cousins. So rather than being outcasts or losers of a war, they just migrated underground and said, "Let's be down here." And so that's why they are very good with gems, while as the gnomes, the gnomes up there are good with. Are they good with gems? I can't remember now.
yeah, I think they're
Uh,
all gemmy.
yeah, but one of the big differences between the surface gnomes and the underdark gnomes is that deep gnomes can summon earth elementals.
Well,
So, and that the females are very rare in the deep gnome clan. That they are heavily guarded, and this is where it gets a little bit misogyny in the article. That the gnomes frown on any female who is quote unquote an adventurer or independent woman.
Hmm.
it's it makes sense. These
Yeah.
they're like the Amish of the gnome community.
Oh, that's a good parallel. I
I
didn't.
I think because the gnomes up top are, if they're going to pick something to be opposite of, because I know the gnomes up top, they're like, hey, like it's complete.
Free for all.
Um,
Well,
uh,
one of the I think where you're going with like the pranksters up top.
no, no, like the equality between the genders is like is such a non-issue. If you're going to find something that you said, okay, why are they different?
Oh,
It's one of those things you go, oh, okay, well that
yeah,
you got to find a couple little, or else they all live together.
sure. And then one of the other bigger differences that I got out of this is that, like all gnomes, they do like their pranks, but the deep gnomes, their pranks are dark and cause injury. Like they would find it funny if they were able to trick someone into wearing like a necklace of strangulation.
That doesn't sound funny. That
Well,
sounds mean.
that was the example. So, and there's a whole list of the classes that they could be if you wanted to run them
So
as a
they're really
character.
just gnome assholes. Is that the
Pretty much, they're the douchebags of the gnome community.
gnome douchebags?
So, but that's the deep gnomes, the surf nublin,
Snurf Neferlershman. If you know how
Neblin.
to pronounce these guys, please comment below.
Well, I was going with Sven is SV, right? Sven Svir Neblin.
Well,
I think that's probably as close as I'm going to get.
much like a Gargamel on a diet, we're going to go away from the Smurf Niblin and go on to Rob. Rob, what do you got for us?
I do actually have two, but my other one's very short, so I'll do my longer one
Don't
first.
remember asking.
We're gonna go with page 70, I believe.
Salty, salty all of a sudden.
It's Game Wizards. It's all about Top Secret SI. I had not much to talk about, but it was an interesting article. So there's a new Top Secret version out called Top Secret SI. It just came out.
Yeah. And they calling this the second edition? I can't remember.
Yeah, this is second edition. A lot of complaints about it. So this is kind of like the this is why we did things. But I guess a lot of people complaining it's lost a lot of detail. But I guess they decided that the core book's not going to have all the details, where all the supplements will add all the detail back in. So all the details shall be coming back. Yeah, people complain it wasn't realistic anymore. But once again, new supplements are supposed to make it more realistic again. Because I guess it's more. They went for the James Bond kind of angle, where it's you're fighting some like group instead of like it's not Russia versus the United States like the original one was. And but they do have a supplement coming out that is going to cover that anyway. So and they also have plans for other genres such as pulp and sci-fi. And the pulp one is Agent 13. Do you remember Agent 13? It's the cover was the guy with like skeleton. He looked like it was like a pulp version. He's a
Oh,
skeleton with a machine gun. And the future one's called Freelancers, which I don't remember at all. I didn't know that one existed. But they both come out in 1988, which is this year. And they said the game's going to be supported for a long time, which I looked, and the last supplement comes out in 1990, so it's not supported for that long. 2 years.
yeah, it didn't stay very long. I mean, Top Secret was a good game in itself, and I think it was definitely the most under-supported of all the TSR games. Probably even maybe just a hair less than probably Boot Hill, but I think Boot Hill died itself on the vine.
Well, this in 1988 and 89, there's tons of supplements come out. Like they just
Yeah,
pumped them all out. Like they knew it was ending. Like they were just like, okay, let's just get us out
yeah.
before the storms hit. So yeah,
Maybe people will buy it fire sale better than it just sitting somewhere in a
uh,
cabinet.
or they're
It's
like,
true.
maybe it'll get us out of bankruptcy if we sell a lot of Top Secret.
It's more quantity, not quality at that point, I guess, right?
Well, I don't know. You know, I've never played any of them, so the question is
Yeah, I
how.
didn't play the second edition.
Yeah,
I fell off after the first edition of Top Secret.
I just remember the ads always because I was buying these magazines and there's always a full cover ad for Top Secret. So okay, that was my article.
Okay, so for my first article, I think I'm going to have to go to the one I have second because people have already been talking about it, and I know if I let it sit, it'll be taken. So can we go to page 66, please,
Oh,
of the PDF?
Oh, mutants! You went with the mutant one?
There's two mutant ones. There's so much. Pat had a veritable smorgasbord.
what was the
I'm
other mutant one? I don't remember reading
I'm
another mutant one.
picking scraps. Um, 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 so Mutations Unlimited, New Powers by Kim Eastland. Now, right off the front, they say um, these are mutations that are in the vein of spells from AD&D, superpowers from Marvel superheroes. They aren't like, oh, you get a squiggly whale baleen for teeth and a tail. You know, you get these are kind of more.
Useful?
Some of them are actually pretty useful.
You got to kill a krill. Nothing beats baleen. I'm telling you. So you've got the ability to make light, make dark. You can what is it? You can make things invisible. A lot of like just superpowers. They're not the
Yeah.
huge
My
Yeah,
favorite one is the one where you can rearrange mule killers.
muculars.
Yeah, it's a typo.
oh, it's supposed to be molecules.
Molecular rearrangement. It says molecular.
You can rearrange mules.
So you get to rearrange. You get the stop the Amish. Back to them again.
But
And
yeah. So it's because making a game world mutant, it does end up being like you might get some kind of useful stuff, but nothing as powerful as any of this stuff. So
I will say though that at this point, this is for third edition. I
yeah,
never read or played third edition.
they
ever,
must have
so.
yeah they were trying to make it more like not so silly, more like serious.
I find this goes the other way.
What? Those original mutations from the first game world were pretty silly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. You got yourself a corpulent vampire for a character.
Sure.
It- but yeah, so these are basically superpowers or spells in Gamma World. And maybe it is to make the characters a little more a little more dangerous and a little more, I don't know, in
Survivable.
in the high flying action of a role playing game. You want a little something rather than just being a corpulent vampire.
Yep.
It's true.
So there, that was my article, and I'm glad I grabbed it before Pat did.
Pat, do you have anything else to say about this article?
Not really, honestly, because I never played or read third edition, so I couldn't even weigh in on if these were better or because. I mean, the way this is set up, it's even set up like a D&D spell, the way it's printed out. And the old mutations weren't that way in the second edition, first edition Gamma World. So
It was almost like You make it. Here's a general description of what it does. You make up what it actually does.
Mm-hmm.
This is a lot
So
more in depth. That's for sure.
yeah, it's more detailed than what I remember in second edition.
Mm-hmm.
So
Maybe this is just the new format, and we don't
yeah,
recognize it.
I mean, they went. That's
I would
maybe what they
assume.
did. Decide they probably maybe because if you really think about the second edition Game World, when you read the rulebook, it's really maybe 8 pages at best of a lot of the core rules that would need the game if you get rid of descriptions
Yeah,
and examples.
it's pretty
And I
short.
feel like maybe in third edition they kind of made it a little more cohesive, a little more expansive, give a little more explanation, things
Yeah,
like that.
yeah, it makes sense.
D
It's
and D at this time.
That's my guess though, because I've never even opened the third edition Game World book.
but AD&D, like you say, Jack, is that's the way it was going too for
It was
describing
getting
everything.
crunchier and
Yeah,
crunchier and crunchier. So it makes sense. So that's what the people want. That's what the people get.
this is what you want. This is what you get.
That's what you
Speaking
get.
of giving the people what they want, Rob,
No, it's Pat. That was yours. Now it's Pat.
Pat,
Okay, let's go to page 38.
You can't just steal his thing and steal his place, Jack. That's mean.
That's okay.
well,
I'm a big boy. I can handle it. I can handle the hurt.
when
Why
I
don't
said give people what they want, I thought Pat would be like, "Oh, thank you," but he didn't, and I'm like, "Okay, I got to make this funny somehow." I'm hanging out like yesterday's laundry.
Well,
why do
you were so adamant and mean to Rob earlier that I thought you were being serious.
It's true. He's very mean. Why do I know aboleths? Was that in the new movie? Was there an aboleth?
I don't think there was an aboleth in the new movie, but this is the ecology of those guys.
Yeah. Why do I know
They're the
them?
best. They're the type best known. Is also the least dangerous.
The type best known
Uh,
is also least
I,
dangerous. I don't even know
I
what that
didn't.
means.
I didn't either. I read it several hundred times. Still don't know what it means.
The type best known is also the least dangerous.
Well, I think what they're referring to is that what everyone knows as an aboleth is the least dangerous of because there are 4 classes of aboleth.
Yeah.
So if you don't know what an aboleth is basically what I call an evil Cthulhu fish Vulcan.
Okay.
They're all emotional and logical. They're underground. They look like octopuses and fish kind of combined. They're long tentacles. There are 4 classes. There's the slave gatherers, which I think are the best known, is what they're calling, and they're in itself about 20 feet long, including the tentacles. And you get the slave maintenance guys. These are the guys who control and use mind controls to control the slaves, and they're a little bit bigger. And then you have the scientist class of the aboleths, and these guys are even more bigger. I think
More
there's even
biggest.
pictures of them somewhere.
Yeah, there's
And-
all pictures.
yeah. And they're the nobles, and then the rulers, which are the guys that lead the underground. So the scientists and the rulers and the slave maintenance aboleths live in the underwater cities, while the slave gatherers go out and capture people. That's what I think what they're saying. They do one of the cool thing, one of the weird things. I don't even call it cool. About the aboleths is they don't believe in magic, so they embrace science. So what their magic is really science. But that being said, that also leads them to being scientists.
Yeah, well, scientist is fine in a creature because it's just like using spells. It's just
It's
they shouldn't be in the
science.
character.
Science in general, just
Yeah,
no.
but that's what these guys have. Like
Mhm.
when you're, other than say like the mind flayers, when you think of sonics in a creature, you go, well, the aboleth.
Yeah. I will say that the Grand Aboleth, the main leader, there's only one of the Grand Aboleth, looks like the stupid brain bug from Starship Troopers.
Exactly.
Or the other way around. They made the brain bug look like
Yeah.
the Grand Aboleth.
Yeah, because I don't think there was brain bugs in the original story.
No, not in one bit.
I think if someone were to say, "Hey, a fisherman just pulled up some strange creature that lives at the bottom of the depths," these are all very, very, on brand.
Mhm.
And the brain bug from Starship Troopers is like, "Hey, you give me a bug that's
Just a one giant
and
brain.
Yeah.
the overlap of brain sea creature from the depth and brain bug from a planet.
You
I think
think it
it's a
was?
nice.
You think it was? What do they call it? Parallel evolution? Is that you think that was what that was?
Possibly.
No, I think I sat down with too much fervor in my seat at the movie theater. My chocolate bar flew from my hand. Whoa, 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 whoa!
Did you land in
Sitting
my peanut
beside
butter?
me was Rob's peanut butter.
That.
Hmm.
Actually, no,
So
you were right. You were right. Mine was not. Mine had nothing to do with that.
That's just what
that's
happened.
uh,
We if nothing, but if not telling our old tales of things that actually happened.
Yep.
well.
Well,
This creature was
well,
not in the D&D movie.
I don't. Why do I know Aboleth then? I don't know. For some
I
reason,
don't think I've ever.
they're on my
And I'll be
brain.
honest with you. Well, I know about this creature probably just from reading the Fiend Folios and the monster manuals 1,000 times.
There is
Um,
a very famous picture that we've seen a few of them already where you look and go, I don't know where I know that picture from, but I know it's from, and I believe it was in the Monsters Compendium,
mm,
a full color picture.
Of an
I
Aboleth.
can see it
Maybe
in
that's why.
but
my brain.
I've never played against any one of these creatures ever at all.
They never played against you either.
Well, we didn't do a lot of water or sea adventures either. So
Well, maybe currently as this is airing, you are battling up a aboleth as concurrently.
oh, spoilers.
Spoilers.
Premonition.
All right. So is Rob next then, Jack?
Rob is next.
Okay,
Yes.
we're gonna go to page 92 maybe? No, 94 maybe?
Uh-oh.
No, 90 90. Why is it all lies? Where's Dragon Mirth?
92.
93.
It's 92.
See,
Starts at 92.
I went the
Yes,
wrong
but
way.
are you looking at the Bruce Simpson?
Yes, the very one. The break. It's a lady who says baby, and it's
On
pointing
both,
at her
yeah.
stomach. So this one's good because you have to flip to the next page to read it. So it's a lady that has an arrow pointing a baby on board, and then it's a dragon that has babies, old ladies, invalids, cripples, and
Invalids,
stupid
cripples,
knights
stupid knights.
in his stomach. Bah! That's all I have to say about that.
I think Mr. Simpson is the same one. We've had a few of
A little off-color ones.
a little off color. I don't believe that any of his dark humor passes today.
No, but I find it hilarious.
Hilarious.
There was actually some pretty good ones in this. The Dragon Mirth was not too bad in this one. I like the little quick hits.
Yeah, yeah. And honestly, in a magazine this bereft of quality, if you're hitting Dragon Mirth as a hey,
Yeah, that's my
the
last
world,
ditch. Yeah,
yeah, the world. This is what this magazine had to offer, and we're here to give it to you. That's a sad state of affairs.
it's true.
Okay, well then, I guess it's back to me.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of invalids, can we go to page 24 of the PDF and to the center of the Orth?
Orth.
Now, I don't know if Orth is being used in the typical fashion in this regard. Vic Brocard. And it's not even that truthful because it's not about delving into the center of the earth. It is a way. He prefaces this thought, hey, you're doing a D&D adventure. You've run out of tunnels and dungeons to explore, and you've got a frothing at the mouth table full of adventurers waiting to get going.
This one was a hard one for me.
It was well, we all like tables. We all like random tables. So at its core, it's something enjoyable.
It's just random tunnels.
I
Yeah.
wouldn't use it the way that he said, like as a as a tile-based game that unfolds before your cowboy adventures in a mine shaft. Like I wouldn't.
Hey, that's we play that game.
Yeah.
Shadows and Brimstone.
Yes,
Um,
I get that reference.
I you get that reference. Hey, I get that reference. Um,
Sorry, I threw you off.
I'm a lover of memes, and I just it's funny. Uh, um, so how I would possibly use this instead of running out and having to make this on the fly, there are charts and charts and charts of interesting small details that would
Just spice it
um,
up.
spice up a subterranean dungeon crawl. Um, when was the last time that you got someplace and it said it's musty? There's a gap that goes to the level below, and it's the walls are shockingly rough. Like it's like, okay, what's going on here?
Yeah,
Nothing.
just it's
Nothing
descriptions. Yeah, it's good. Just,
you need to know.
otherwise, you're
It's
like you're in a tunnel.
You're still in the tunnel.
Yeah,
yep, yep.
Hour later, still in the tunnel.
And I know you don't need to overly explain. People have imaginations, and possibly what they're thinking is probably right, like the hits to the cores of what they're trying to get out of the game, anyways. But definitely, I would have used this. There's pages of charts about all kinds of stuff, and it
Do
would be
you think Vic Brocard was a geology major or amateur spelunker?
ooh,
he's still in the tunnel to
Because
this day. They can never recover his body.
because where he lost me was the dry tunnels and the waterways, and
no, yeah, okay, yes,
it got really deep in there. I was like, oh,
yeah. In his mind, it was important. He prefaced the whole thing by saying there's certain laws that make that of geology that you kind of have to follow.
yeah,
And I was like, oh, okay.
Toss.
yeah.
No, no.
I went. All right, next page.
Well, not in a fantasy realm. There's no laws about anything in fantasy realm. That's the point.
Yeah,
Yeah, we're in the holodeck, Vic.
he must be a fan of Greyhawk though, because he did use the word Oerth.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
And I
But then
don't.
he starts describing like Forgotten Realm stuff though. So I'm like, maybe he doesn't understand that Orth is Greyhawk, not.
Well, I think the Underdark at this point is still just a generic term for underground stuff.
Yeah, but he says Oerth. That's the thing. But then he
Yes,
starts
so
saying it's in the Dungeoneer Survival Guide and all this stuff. So I don't know
I don't think the Dungeon Seer Survival Guide is.
necessarily anything in particular.
Yeah, it's just a generic reference. That's what I'm thinking right now. When you say, because I think this is before.
Mm-hmm. They're just
The
using
actual
Underdark
Underdark.
always. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think Underdark at this point is the generic term, though it is capitalized. So
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
it's definitely
strange.
being. Both of them are being used as common parlance. Like people are saying it. People are understanding what they're saying. But
yeah.
I don't believe, like right now,
Well,
it's agnostic in that. But
I wonder if the original
Greyhawk's been a
Drow.
while.
Yeah, if the original Drow modules probably called it the Underdark in those. Like maybe that's
Yeah,
why.
and they did call it in the Q series,
But it wasn't.
for sure.
It wasn't located in Forgotten Realms yet. That kind of thing. Probably.
Yes, probably.
Yeah, that makes sense. Cool.
Okay, so that's it to spice up your underground spelunking.
I'm a spelunker.
Pat,
Yes.
you have any more?
I actually have one more. You guys have taken all
That's
of
all right.
mine.
I didn't. I barely had the second one, so you can have my second one.
Let's go to the 44s.
No. You can't just take over the whole show and then start giving out presents like your Sandy Claus.
How am I getting a present?
Speaking of Santa Claus, it's Hilk Horror. He's Claus. Get it?
Oh, I got it.
Is this picture correct? Yeah, it's sort of correct. But remember the Hook Horror,
It's
the
correct.
actual Hook Horror?
Yeah. So I do remember the Hook Horror in. Oh God, I think this was in the Fiend Folio.
Hook Horror, was he one of the originals? I don't remember.
I think it was one of the ones based on that
Japanese
bag of
toys,
toys
yeah.
from Korea or whatever it was.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, maybe you're right.
I think it was a MM. It was an OG.
But Jim Holloway here, the artist, decided to go darker, to get gritty.
He is scary looking.
Yeah, he came for the Monster Man. He is one of the.
Yeah, I thought he was one
He's
of
one
the
of the
Japanese.
OGs.
Because
All right. So then I do remember, and then I don't remember reading too much about him, and I don't remember using too much. But so this ecology was a little bit informative for me. So
well,
apparently these things are.
none of these were written by our friend, a friend of the show,
No.
Ed Greenwood either.
I mean, so they're okay. The stories weren't bad. They weren't horrible. The Hook Horror one is or no, next issue was actually a fairly decent article.
Save it.
So yeah, the Hook Horrors apparently they're as big as an ogre, which I don't think the Monster Man ever says they're that big.
Oh, I always thought
But
they
they
were
have
big.
crab-like shell covering their neck and their backs. They have a vulture-like head, as you can see in the picture. What I
I don't
didn't
think
know
that person's ever seen a vulture, if that's a vulture-like head.
No,
It
no,
looks like a snapping
He-
turtle.
most like a snapping turtle.
or like a scarab beetle or something like that.
Actually,
There's not a-
look at what the Monster Manual picture looks like. It made me look more like a vulture.
Yeah, I think the
Because-
original Monster Manual one was much better.
I agree, and I'm glad I'm not the only one.
These creatures are fairly blind, which I didn't know either, but they have really heightened sense of smell and hearing, almost to the point like their hearing is almost like bat echo sensing or whatever they call it,
Echolocation.
echolocation. Another thing I didn't know, surprisingly, they're vegetarians and sluggishly slow, like sloths.
Yeah, because it kind of looked like a sloth.
But when you look at this thing, it does nothing in this guy's stance screams out,
I'm slow. He's not hanging upside down from a tree. You're right.
Yeah. And vegetarians. That's the part that I was like, oh, really?
He can
Vegetarians?
never show pictures.
No.
No.
Does he got a vulture head in that one?
No, he's cute. He's like a little chibi one.
Oh, stop. We're not talking about
TB.
that. Most of their diet consists of the underdark fungi, mainly shriekers, because the shriekers are like a delicacy to them. And because they eat all the fungi and everything, they are immune to poisons, but are also susceptible to diseases and are infested with them. So they don't really get sick from the diseases, but they can never get rid of them. So they're just like a walking patient
Mange.
zero, walking patient zero, whatever you want. That's how it's not so much that you would die if you got in a fight with a hookor from maybe getting attacked by one, but if you did get touched by one, you'd probably die from the disease that they're carrying.
It sounds like they have a miserable life.
It does
They're-
in just general.
They have heightened hearing, and yet their food source is the shrieker. They
Yes.
are just
I was
racked
thinking the
with,
same thing too. I was like, that thing
racked with disease,
screams.
and the animal they're most associated with is the ground sloth.
Yeah. So I mean, this thing is just generally a walking conundrum in itself. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So I am no longer afraid of the hook horror. When I was growing up, I'd be like, "Ooh, hook horror, scary monster." I don't ever want to face one of those, but now I don't care because I could just apparently walk away from these things.
I think if Ed Greenwood, the fan favorite and unofficial fourth cast member of our show here, if he had written the story, I think that there would have been some fear involved.
Yep. Well, Michael Persinger.
It'd have been the story of the guy as he was dying.
Hey, you can almost see it.
Oh
yeah,
I
that's the
guess
picture
there
I'm
it is.
accustomed to.
That's
Yeah.
the one I'm used to. Also, see that one looks faster and scarier.
Well, he's and his mouth is much more like a bird, not so much like a bug.
Or like a claw.
He looks like the eagle on the Muppets that read the news was on the whey
Sam.
protein.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah,
Sam the
Sam.
eagle was on. He's got gains. If he turned around, you'd see some cake.
So,
Yeah.
so Michael Persinger.
Yeah.
Turned the hook horror into a contradiction of ideas.
Horror. Yeah.
Just a sad state of affairs for those guys.
So,
Okay, so that should be the
Articles?
the end of articles. Now I'm going to be gracious. I'm going to. Oh, I got nods. I'm not going to. I'm not asking twice. Yeah, no, we're gonna go right to we're gonna go right to the ads.
Like I said, I had a hard time with this article.
Yeah, I didn't have much in this magazine.
I
I got a
had
lot.
a hard time with this thing that I actually did both ecologies.
Well, I knew you would. They're all your ecologies.
Yeah, I know, but they weren't by our longtime friend, longtime listener, fourth co-host, Dr. Greenwood.
That's true. Dr. Greenwood Esquire. Okay, Pat.
I'm emeritus.
Before we start ads, though, did anyone else notice how many English ads again in stores
Yeah.
were just right through this thing?
It's
Yeah.
weird. It's like they discovered that they can advertise cheap or something.
Or it's like they just took the White Dwarf version and cut and pasted, if that was a thing.
My theory was that White Dwarf had now gotten so
GW.
focused
Yeah.
that there's people who
That's a good point.
wanted ad space because
That's a really good point, Jack.
it's we were bombarded the last few
That's really
months.
a good.
That makes sense because if GW would is White Dwarf's totally just about GW, they're going to only advertise GW stores, so that makes a lot of sense.
And Dragons International, so you're still getting your word out.
Yeah, that makes sense. They're spending their money on a different magazine now. Yeah, I can see that.
I wonder.
Good call,
Okay,
good
Pat,
call.
let's get our capitalism out of the way. What's
All right, let's go to my one and only ad,
uh-oh.
107.
Oh, that was one of mine. I was going to make fun of this.
yours.
I am gonna get fun of it. I went old timey 1920 comic book / Buster Crab version of Buck Rogers the RPG game, and then in big capital letters, TSR needs money.
Well, I said, Lorraine, stop trying to make this a thing. That's my comment.
This is just we need to make revenue. Buck Rogers, let's make
No.
it.
No, it's I need to make revenue, not even TSR. This is the
Yeah,
kind of stuff
probably.
that when they TSR got bought by Wizards of the Coast, they find warehouses full of this stuff, like just piled and rotting.
Wild high. Yep.
It just wasn't the time. I'm sure at various stages in the right hands, this kind of property. I'm sure
wasn't-
Netflix could release a camp.
It wasn't like they.
Comic book.
It's that they just kept trying to make it a thing and kept redoing things like this is a board game. They did the Buck Rogers XXVI or whatever it was, like the 25 one. Like they did so many versions of it because they wanted it to be a thing because they know they'd make extra money on it. So
Well, I think they were camping on the popularity of the Gil Gerard Buck Rogers.
well, that was over a long time by this time.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah, it's a joke. My ad now?
Yeah, if we're done highlighting the failures
bashing,
of
yeah.
of Buck Rogers, yes, then please, Rob, let's.
We're gonna go to 27. I'm amazed Pat didn't do
27.
this one. This is Blood and Steel. Do you have what it takes? It's Renegade Legion Centurion, the tank game in the Renegade Legion.
The thing I had meant to do this one,
You just forgot.
I forgot, and then I went to mention it in the next issue.
You failed.
Yeah, and then I was
Yeah, Centurion. They're like hover tanks, pretty much in the Renegade Legion, and
yeah. Well, this is it's all armored vehicles in Centurion.
yeah, it's the future of armored combat. But
Yeah.
because in Renegade Legion there's no mechs, so they needed something similar to a mech, so they got floating tanks instead.
Yeah, which is fine too. I enjoy a good hover tank.
Yeah, so that was my ad. Nice full color ad. Nice looking tank. And,
It clicks all the boxes. It's got the blood and steel red splash all over the place. It's got a hover tank on there. If you want to jazz up tanks, there's not much you can do except for no
take
treads.
their treads away. Yep.
So yeah, as an ad, that fills the bill. Okay, I guess for my ad, could we go to page 99, please?
99. Wayne Gretzky.
What the great one? And speaking of great ones, this is my favorite expansion for Talisman. Oh wait, no, I've never seen this before.
I was gonna say I've never even heard of this one
life
because it's
And
got
we
Space
played-
Marines in it, and
It's
Yep.
called timescape, and it is for those flung through time. So I guess you would go from different eras. I see a Roman Centurion helmet. I see
Yeah.
Space Marines, cyborgs.
Astropath, archaeologist,
Yeah, it sounds like they're just mixing all their games from all different eras and
Chainsaw Warrior. That's the actual guy from the cover from
making
the
it.
board game.
Yep, making it into Talisman. They're just like, yeah, we got all these
Yeah.
pictures of things. Let's throw it into Talisman.
There are properties we can make an
I,
expansion
I
for it.
don't think this expansion lived to the next version.
Well, it definitely didn't make it to the video game because they probably had to pay so many more licenses if they wanted to have all these guys in there. So they're like, yeah, let's not have to do that. So whoever made who was it? I forget who makes the Talisman video game. I always see the name when it pops up, but I can't remember who it is now. But anyways, they didn't want to have to pay for
Yeah, I
Space
don't
Marines,
remember either.
and although there is a Space Relic is a Space Marine version of Talisman,
Yes,
but
They-
but that was Fantasy Flight, and Fantasy at that point.
well, I mean for the
Instead-
video game, same people who make the Talisman video game make Relic also.
Oh, there's a Relic.
Yep.
Video game out. Oh, I didn't know that.
It's not as fun because it doesn't have as many expansions, so it's just one board. So it's
Oh.
not at least last time I played. Maybe they've expanded since then, but I don't think so. It was fun, but it was like basic Talisman.
I mean,
so
I,
it's
ha-
kind of
I
boring.
have the Relic. I have the Relic board game downstairs.
I'm sure you do. You have every board game in your trove. Yeah, so if you ever want to play with Star Sprites, now we know where to get it.
Yeah, get a space vampire and throw a jetpack on him. That really would sound fun.
I'm amazed.
Apparently, the Space Vampire is a craft monster.
I'm amazed. Yeah, that's weird. I'm amazed how basic the art is on these still. Like you think by now, you'd think GW the art is always so amazing, and this is like
Yeah,
Like-
I mean, we're still in '88. I mean, the Rogue Trader book still doesn't come out, even though it is coming out fairly soon.
well, I think it has come out. Remember we did the review of it the other.
I think it's '89, isn't it?
We did the review of it.
We did.
Remember the guy said 40K and he spelled it out as 40K.
Oh, that's right, because he wanted everyone to know how it was pronounced in the
Vernacular.
vernacular. Yes.
Yeah, but if you look at the Rogue Trader cover, it looks just like this art.
Yeah. So they haven't got their high end artist yet.
No.
Well, this was a brand for a long time.
Well, they haven't moved to the goth look yet.
Yeah.
The Geiger-esque kind of look.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you see this stuff, you go, okay, I know that this is Games Workshop when it is, and
Well, yeah.
But-
Old school. Yep, for sure.
yeah. So that is.
I got another ad
Okay, and I am willingly offering that to you.
because I had hardly any articles. This is actually on two different pages. This ad, so we're gonna be talking about two different pages, but it's page 15. It's Robotech Saga continues, and it's also on page 69. So 15, we'll look at that. It's got one of the big monsters and a glog. I think they're called glogs, and yeah, fun. It's just a Robotech thing. And then 69, I think, is the other one. 69 shows a super what's it called, Valkyrie, I think it is. But the coincidence is, and I wonder if this was on purpose, every single one of these pictures I just showed you in the Robotech ads are BattleTech miniatures. They're all the unseen. So,
That's right.
do you think they were doing it to try to claim their rights and say, no, these are all like purposely showing these ones to try to start their
When did
legal
they-
proceedings?
Is this around the time when the
I think it's pretty soon after this that they go after them. So I'm curious if that's why they're doing this. That
Yeah.
it just coincidentally every single mech they showed is BattleTech mechs. There's Behemoth, there's Marauder, and a Crusader. So it's like that's kind of interesting that they chose those specific. Like they didn't show Valkyrie, they didn't show they showed specifically ones that were Valkyries are too. And
they're
Robotech.
definitely the ones that go away.
Yeah, it just seems odd.
Reestablishing their territory.
Yeah,
Just like, hey, these are ours. When you see them elsewhere,
Yeah, that's not real. Yeah, it's interesting to think that, but I wonder if it was on purpose or just coincidence. That is
I'll
my
probably
question.
put it on purpose.
Especially showing the glog or whatever the command thing, what the Marauder is in Robotech. That's barely in the Robotech. Like you never see these things. It's like it wasn't like a prominent thing in Robotech.
Yeah,
Not like the regular Zentradi pods. Like these ones were like once or twice you saw them, right? So, and even with the monster too, like you barely ever saw that. That was just on the ship, like shooting once in a while. So, Yeah, it's a weird choice that they're choosing these specific ones. That's all I'm saying. Not showing the SDF one, not showing the
I wouldn't call it a weird choice. I would call it a
the specific choice.
passive aggressive.
Yeah, or legit legal, like trying to say this is our trademark, right?
Oh yeah, or maybe some lawyer said, "Well, you need to
Yeah.
establish your."
Yeah, so I'm curious.
Yeah, if you're not using this stuff, someone else can claim. Okay, okay. Well, now those are our poster boys.
Yeah, that's what I'm curious about that. Not like we don't know that Palladium's owner there isn't litigious at the best of times. So
Yeah.
yeah, so that's my last ad.
Okay, Pat.
I only had the one.
Okay, perfect. Look at this. We're gonna get out of here at 45 minute to an hour mark. This is fantastic. A tightly run ship. I want it well,
To quote a good friend of ours, fantastic.
fantastic. Yeah. So let's wrap this bad boy up. Anyone want to plug anything or do anything greasy?
Racy?
Speaking of
Greasy,
Robotech and
Like
BattleTech,
saying ring the bell and touch the buttons and stuff. Like
I was trying to do a plug here, and you're interrupting me.
I was answering a question. I apologize.
If you're speaking of Robotech and BattleTech, we do another YouTube channel called Mobile Armor Radio. So if you're interested in big stompy robots, come see Pat and I and our friend Brian talk about them.
Yes.
Stomping.
Big.
Big. In that order.
Robots.
Mobile Armor Radio. That's what you got to remember. Just write it out. American way. There's no
Stomping
U's.
big robots.
All things mech
Remember it.
and mecha related.
No U's. Remember that. Because
No
the Americans insisted no U's in armor. So.
No utes.
What can I do? I couldn't fight them. It's 2 against 1 there, Jack. We got the Canadian
No.
spelling and everything here, but
No, we're a Western democracy, so like I can't. You can't argue. There's 2 against 1.
yeah, that's true.
Doesn't matter. You're right,
That's right. Exactly. Doesn't matter if I'm correct.
but you have to go with democracy.
Unfortunately.
Damn.
Okay. Well then, how about we wrap this up? We'll thank you for joining us on the Dragon's Tome. We've enjoyed bringing it to you. Come back next week, and we'll be discussing the next issue of Dragon Magazine.
We're going to be talking about 132.
We got issues.
132. Have a good one.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.